If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. Vampires, they prey on your fears and they stay away. Vampires, they prey on your fears, control your atmosphere. Don't let them take your energy. Don't let them suck your control your atmosphere. Distraction away from me. I am you and control your atmosphere. Don't let them take your energy. Don't let them suck your energy. It's a distraction away from me. I am you and you are me. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. Don't follow nobody but yourself. Don't follow, I said nobody but yourself. Don't follow nobody but yourself. Don't follow yourself. Nobody, yourself. Nobody but yourself.
Welcome back, everybody, and happy New Year's Eve. If this is your first time tuning in to my show, today is December 31st, 2024. I'm Eve, and this is part 2 of Cults, Gangs, and Religions, Lessons Learned. This past year has been chock full of life lessons. And as you may know, and if you don't know, well, I like to have uncomfortable conversations because I do think that it is when we are uncomfortable that we do some movements. Now, you might think that, any movement might not be the best thing to do, but I do think that when people are stuck on stupid, well, you have to get unstuck first, right? But maybe you're a person who has learned how to play chess. Maybe you know that you don't have to move right now. You've learned that there is an art of practicing the pause and learning patience and all of that stuff. But I wanted to start with, I guess, another shout out to our good brother Yoshimod. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. And quite a few of you have shown your support in a tangible way this year, and I am very humbled for it. So just wanted to, again, just thank y'all for your support, your monetary support, for sharing my shows and having conversations with me that maybe you didn't think you wanted to have, but maybe the thoughts that you had after our little chat brought up some other thoughts. And maybe in your actual life, in your actual circle or on your square, things have gotten better because you've been able to talk to people and have a conversation that makes sense, even if you disagree. I guess as an educator, I've committed myself to being a lifelong learner, and as such, you're, I guess, going to continue to learn lesson after lesson, or be presented with lesson after lesson. And then you die. Uh, while that might be bleak for some of you, find that it is in reality that we should be checking our moves and making sure that our actions follow suit, right? You have to be a person who says what you mean and mean what you say, but maybe you don't know what you mean, or maybe you feel a certain way and that's how you've been moving. But I think if you are a Black American like me, maybe we can look at how people have been moving. Maybe we can look at how other people have been using our emotions against us. Maybe we can look at the fact that an emotional people might move all sorts of different ways. And maybe that's another reason that they are owed a tangible debt. The dysfunction of it all means that you definitely need to do some sort of payment. I mean, you want them to be whole, right? You want some sort of repair. I wanted to start tonight's show, or at least the second part of our show, just sharing some channels that I think that you will be a better person for from listening to, subscribing to, and all that jazz. First channel, that's our good brother Yoshi Mod. Again, um, my little intro song, the Just Steve song, Cut the Check song, Say Less, if you will. And, well, if you're not going to speak up, and FBA Roots, and a lot of the music that you've heard on my channel, that's been a creation of our good brother Yoshi Mod. He is a creative genius. You should subscribe to his channel. That's it right there. Another channel that I think that you would be a better person for and from listening to her thoughts and insights and analysis on things is our good sister Taisha Essex, who also has a new channel. It is at Mrs. Taisha, where she's going to be talking about life and family and gardening and getting them shots off, because she does practice her Second Amendment rights. Shout out to her and her growth this past year. And like I said earlier, I was definitely going to take some time to make sure that you guys are following and subscribed to Dr. Winters. That's at Olmec98 on YouTube. This number, this 14.9 thousand, it's way under, because the way that I've been hearing other channels, white channels, other melanated people spout his information, they're listening, but I guess they don't want to subscribe. They don't want people to know that they're getting their information from somewhere, almost like the invaders, right? Where they stole a lot of information and then they put their name on it. And then, well, don't ask them any questions because they can't give you an answer that makes sense. Maybe they can give you an answer. We exist in 2024, and yes, whitewashing is a thing. I mean, really, Dr. Winters and I had a conversation about it on our Wednesday show, Reality Check. If you want to have a conversation with us, bridging the generational divide, if you will, you can subscribe here on my channel. You can subscribe to his channel, but YouTube does sometimes send an alert when we're live on Wednesdays. So we'll be live tomorrow. I think around 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So, set your bells and clocks and whistles for that. And this man, Dr. Randy Short, YouTube hates this man because this 2.6 thousand subs. Again, these numbers are a little skewed because people don't like to say that they've gotten their information from somewhere, and he might be live right now. So, I'm not hating on his game or what people do or the fact that other people are live right now. There's enough internet for all of us to be live. The ability to hit the playback exists for a reason. So, if you aren't subscribed to Dr. Short, who, a lot of the connections that I've made over the past year, it wouldn't have been possible without his assistance. And I think that, well, he likes to have uncomfortable conversations too, don't you know? I mean, literally, you can look at the title of his live right now and just kind of pick up on his comfort with discomfort. There we go. His comfort with discomfort. So I wanted to make sure that I did shout those specific channels out. I did shout out Dwan B's channel earlier, and his breakdown of the year, how on point it was, and in the expose, in the year of exposure, we've got a lot of things that have been uncovered, some hidden figures, if you will. And I from, again, hip hop to celebrities to different religious organizations and the gangs that are affiliated with them to just groups of people who feel like they're like-minded. You felt like you found your tribe, people who think the same things the same way, people who move and do the same things the same way. So your cult. But do you want to be in a cult? And is there an end game for these different little cults that are popping up? Because it's almost like when people say you don't want to or don't have to reinvent the wheel. And well, then why do we have flight? Or why do we have hovering or any other form of transportation if you don't have to reinvent the wheel? Maybe there is something better. Maybe we could be doing something a different way and move or get there faster. But if people are so stuck on the wheel, then will we advance? Or maybe we will ultimately, in the end, eventually advance. But does it have to take so long? If we were people who have invented the wheel, could we not also be people who invented flight and anything else that gets us from point A to point B? I mean, I'm not trying to be funny here, but we are people who invented walking, right? And I just mean melanated people because, we were here first. So the first people walking would have been some niggas, right? And well, again, I know I'm not trying to be funny, but I do think that you can laugh about these things because they're so simple, yet they're so complex. But I've sat with myself for a long time this year, having to debrief and account and recollect and recall things. Well, because of the exposure of it all. And in my pausing and my time away, it seems that, a cult doesn't have to be, on an island away from everybody, especially in the age of technology. You can find yourself isolated amongst a group of people, inside of a group of people, because, well, you don't want to say the wrong thing. You don't want to ask the wrong questions. You want to do what the group is doing because the group says that they're doing this, and you agree with that. But then you look at how they're moving and you're like, well, if you're moving like that, how are you going to get there? I mean, maybe you'll get there eventually, but is there a better way? All year I've been talking about Mr. Fuller's book, his code, and how it seems like a lot of people who talk about any code are confused, if you will. And these people who have so much to say never even applied the information from the book, not in an appropriate way, because it is the simplicity of it all, really, the worry about yourself of it all that gets me every time. I mean, really, if you think about it, if you minded your business, or you mind your square, you mind your state, then maybe there won't be so many disagreements or arguments about how things should be, because however you want things to be wherever you are, you would be worried about that. You would be making sure that the things make sense there. And I know it's kind of leveled because as a country full of states, we kind of have to work together. There does need to be some cohesiveness between the different groups of people. But I guess, well, like I said earlier, leveled and layered, we're going to have to be able to do more than one thing at one time. But how? Well, maybe you join a cult. Maybe you're in a gang. Maybe it is in your beliefs and spiritual practices that get you to where you are comfortable in your square, in your state, or in your country. We've got a lot of people over the past year, especially this year, because it was an election year, saying that, decency and degeneracy are the fight for the White House. But then you look at the people screaming decency, and you look at the people screaming degeneracy, and I don't know, both sides kind of look the same, even though they're calling the other the other. You've got people who want access to minors in a sexual way. You've got people who want to be outwardly racist and withhold resources and be unapologetic about it. I mean, they want you to accept it because you've been accepting it. And I almost can't even be mad at them. Not really. It is the newcomers that grind my gears. The newcomers, the entitlement of these people who they haven't done anything except for come with their open hands. And because the rules have been written in a way that include and exclude us, we never made them be very specific about who is getting what and when. Because if we were, then the 14th Amendment would have been something antiquated. It would have been a law that was passed, and if you didn't qualify at the time, you wouldn't qualify now, because the time is up for the people who would qualify for this exception to the rule. Everybody else needs to follow the other rules that are already in place or rewrite the laws. I'm so I've been so irritated with everybody's uh, lack of understanding that our laws are a living document. It's something we can change. But I know that we've been programmed. And inside of the programming, maybe you don't feel like you can do anything if you don't do it the way that they've been telling you to do it. But like I said earlier today in part one, it's the unlearning and then the relearning of it all that will help you get from point A to point B, from point B to point C. And we're so intelligent. We might be able to start skipping steps, but if you don't unlearn it all, I mean, really throw it all away because it's all lies, unless you were brought up away from all of the toxicity that is or your parents just 100% on it. I mean, you might be the second coming of Jesus if that's you. And if that's you, shout out to you. Just, maybe start doing the things. Or maybe you are doing the things. You're minding your business. You're doing the things in your hometown and where you live and for the people that you can reach out and touch. Because once we do that, then maybe the people start, I was about to say touching each other, but that kind of comes off the wrong way. So maybe it's just in the links and chains, they start extending and reaching across state lines because, so many people have been affected by the things that you're doing. because the people that have been affected by you want to affect other people. All of it, every single thing that society does is going to be some sort of programming because people need to do things in a in an orderly and chaotic fashion. Our originality and uniqueness, the fact that we all have thumbprints that and fingerprints that aren't the same, our genetic makeup and our thoughts, all of these things unique, our soul even unique. But how do you get things done if everybody's different? Do you say, oh, I'm so different from you that I can't do the thing that you do? Or do you say, I'm so different from you that I can do the thing that you say you can do better? I mean, we can be so competitive. And then I guess we've fallen into the lull of the system. I've seen so many arguments this past year from white Americans who, in the past, were very proud Italians and Irishmen and Englishmen and German. And, they were very proud of their European ancestry. But this year they've had to wear multiple hats because they say that it is in the DEI that is targeting their removal from these seats of power. Things aren't as easy as they used to be. They're harder. We got so many more people here, and look at them with their degrees and professions and their skills. But, well, Trump said it loudly for me first, but maybe other people said some people are coming from shitholes. And he was not only talking about the melanated shitholes. You got white shitholes too. People are still fucking animals all over Europe and Asia. And then you come here and you are the best of the best. Model minorities. Or maybe you come from a Spanish-speaking place where it's a little bit warmer and you've got tropical things. And because your skin complexion can tan, you think that, well, niggas make all sorts of different colors. So all I got to do is get to America and I can blend in with them and benefit from them. That's a lot of different things happening. But it is these, the original invaders and their anger with all of the cults that they don't have any control over anymore, the gangs that they've lost control over, and the religions that they, again, well, I guess if you don't have any spirituality, you can't have any control over the religion, but churches are a money-making business, an entity that doesn't get taxed by the government, but a place where the government can push politics and policy, a bunch of confusion. But at the end of the day, their argument about, well, pulling yourselves up by your bootstraps and they don't owe reparations because their family got here when they got here, and they weren't here or around for that, but also they got here before these other people got here, so they are part of the foundation as well. I'm sorry, there was no America before my ancestors, before your ancestors, Yoshimad, before your ancestors all the way free. And for the rest of y'all in chat, I can't see you, so I can't say if it's your ancestors or not, but shit, a lot of us, it's in our DNA, the skill and labor that was used to build and fortify this place that everybody seeks to get a piece of. And I know that you feel it because so many people have done something different. But I'm going to ask that you get a little bit more uncomfortable. Because yes, you did unlearn. You did learn that Lewis Latimer is the reason the light bulb works. And you did learn about George Washington Carver. You did learn about the many different passages and routes on the Underground Railroad. And shout out to you, because that was a lot. But there's so much more. It's so much more that I think in 50 years, when we have gotten what's owed to us and we are maintaining our position, our rightful position, if you will, it, people will laugh at how silly this long walk to the promised land has been. Because do we all have to be the same to get to where we need to be? No, but we do have to agree to some things. At the beginning of this year, like literally January 1st, 2024, I had a space with our good brother Dwan B, and we talked about cults, gangs, and religions, and we talked about sports because he is coached, I've coached, we both play, and sometimes it's in the teamwork that people might be able to understand how other things could work, but we're so disconnected. Our society has become very erratic. Our attention span is not what it used to be, and there aren't a lot of people disciplined enough to want to do the work to become more focused. You need the information right now, and if you can't get it right now, then you might bypass it. I've read a few different websites this past year where the person has been wronged. I mean, really, it's blatant, but it's so much information that you would get bored. I mean, you would say that, well, so much work's happened already, and I mean, shit, if you ain't won yet, then I guess you ain't gonna win, so what do you need my help for? But sometimes it is in the repetition that, well, they don't want you asking anymore. What can I do to make this nigga go away? And it doesn't have to be violent. We can do this in a very annoying and pestering and, well, irrefutably, I couldn't think of another word for annoying, so I'm sorry. But just, we can be persistent and consistent. And if we offer up some consequences for things not happening the way we want them to happen, then maybe that's all that needs to happen, really. All these arguments about what to call ourselves, I mean, I think that's a good idea, but in the era of people not knowing that they're in a cult, people who would fight and die for people that they've never met, people that they probably wouldn't piss on if they were on fire, if they knew what this person actually was up to, like in their actual life. Kind of like the preacher, pastor who's fucking the entire congregation, men, women, fucking pedophile as well. But, when they get up there on Sunday, they give a good word. I guess some of y'all are still programmed. You left the church, but you didn't leave the church mindset. So you fell for the trap that is, well, I can be church, but I'm not going to say I'm church. And since most niggas don't know about the paperwork and how to make sure that you keep your shit yours and how to make money off of the things that you create, shout out to Famous Amos, we've got a lot of people who start getting jealous about the gains of other people. So even if the person has a good idea, well, I'm not going to listen to you because I don't like you. You've been able to do things that maybe I thought about and didn't do. You see how silly that sounds? But if you're in a cult, or if you're in a gang, or if you've been lying to yourself about your spirituality, you might be confused. But this could be the end. And then in a few hours, in a few minutes, depending on where you are and shit, if you are on another side of the world, it's already tomorrow. January 1st of the 2025 Gregorian calendar has already started. So this could be the beginning of a new day. Following the year of exposure, you're going to have some sort of retribution. There's going to be some sort of retaliation. And I know it gets real spooky when you talk like that, but why wouldn't you want to be prepared? Right? Or wrong? I think that if we were a people who were comfortable thinking about different outcomes, then maybe the problem that we all have been trying to solve, the problem that is, how do we get that life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness? How do you get some of that? Right? And I don't mean the people who know that, well, yeah, you can get some of that if you sell some ass and you sell some of your soul and you sell off one of your children and, you just don't give a fuck. You start lying about things and you can get your life some liberty and be as happy as a fat pig rolling around in some mud on a spring day because you've told yourself whatever the fuck and you've told the people whatever the fuck, and then people praise you for it. You get accolades. You benefit from it. If a liar. And a lot of cults and gangs and religions, some of these churches, run by a big fat liar. But I guess, we're all people. Duan says that there's no perfect messengers, that there's only a perfect message. And, I like that quote because it's the humanity of it all. There's no perfect person. Everybody knows that. And you can strive towards perfection, but that's going to be one of those words where everybody's not going to have the same definition for it. What's perfect for you might not be perfect for someone else. I mean, at the end of the day, in a game, a basketball game, football game, when you've got two sides on opposing sides, both teams are going to be praying for a win. In a perfect world, both teams would win, but then what is that? There is no ties in life. You either win or you lose. And I think Black America is tired of losing. But if you are tired of losing, you would have to maybe accept that you've been indoctrined in some group. And you're going to have to peel some layers off. You're going to have to go through some pruning. You're going to have to shed some things that you just knew. Some things you thought you knew. Some things you know. And just maybe humble yourself. And I'm not even speaking to y'all from this seat up above as a person who is going through the pruning that is the autumn, that is the cutting away and bleeding maybe, or shedding of dead weight, or I don't know, the removal of toxins. All that shit can be very painful. But then, you're left with a foundation that's ready for some growth. It's ready for some new foliage, some new and better fruit or vegetable or flower or, whatever it is you're growing, whatever it is. Use your imagination. But before the end of 2024, I wanted to just let you guys know that it's okay if that's you, because we're all human. And if you're a person who said that you want it better, then even listening to me or my channel for any length of time, I think is a step in the right direction. Because I'm going to say something that you're not going to like, or I'm going to say something you might really like. There is nobody on the in-between when it comes to listening to something I have to say. Y'all either really like it or you really don't like it. And I'm here for it either way because it means that we can move. Yeah, the Black Homer Simpson ain't shit this year. Shout out to you, D Griff. You guys in the chat, the people who help my conversation along, I'm appreciative of you because, well, it means that people are listening like actual people, not just bots. The government tried to label anybody who does something different as a bot on the internet. But then they won't accept the fact that we've identified the actual bots. You go to an NBC or an MSNBC or a CNN or, any of their hubs, and you can easily point out the accounts that are not people, the farm raised accounts. But we're the bots. We're the okay. That's okay. But to the audience, to the listeners, live or recorded, I wanted to end my 2024 on an appreciation note because, like I said earlier, today is my favorite Kwanzaa day. The day of creativity, the day where we can reflect on the things that we've created and what we've done. And this year it's been pretty big. I've been pushed in a direction that I didn't know I would go. But Elaine for having a conversation that, people are talking about the news. I think that you guys have different channels where you can follow for that. But what about the art? That's why you got brothers like Yoshi Mod and Devon talking about the art, Yoshi making the art. You want to get your learn on, you got Dr. Winters and Dr. Short, or you want to have an uncomfortable conversation from the masculine side of things and the generation that comes before me, then, again, Dr. Short. But I think that because there's enough internet for everybody and we haven't gotten to our check, then it's going to take all hands on deck. But we don't all need to be doing the same thing. We do all need to be doing something. At least if you're like-minded, if you're like me, the cult of Black empowerment means that there is no comfort, not until we're all where we're supposed to be. And come the middle of January, some of y'all niggas is gonna go. And not because you want to, but because Tom said so. And I think that he's serious. So, you got some days to get your shit together. But, until next year, I hope you guys have a safe and restful or eventful or whatever it is that you're preparing to do to get ready for 2025. I hope you do that. I hope you like it. I hope it's everything you wanted it to be. And I hope that you get ready for the next step. Because after you unlearn, you have to start learning some things. You got to start putting some information back. You have to replace what was taken. And that takes work too. But I'm here. And while I am just me, it's not just me. It's an arsenal of support. So just know that you're not alone. Till next year, y'all be easy.
Just eat.